I believe Robert Greene to be one of the greatest authors to come out in this day and age. And I feel like he should be recognized for that. I feel like, for the works that he's done, a lot of individuals have been able to use and maneuver through life a lot better, a lot easier, seeing clear-cut examples of how things was done in life. When you sit back and you look at it, the 48 laws of power, some individuals look at it as a way to get over on individuals, or a way to even watch out for people getting over on them. And it could be both. It could be many of these things. It could be a handbook to do evil to people. And a lot of the laws that are in the 48 laws of power, they can really go against your moral code. But once you realize and recognize that there are a lot of people in this world that do not have the same moral code as you, or do not have a moral code at all, then the fact that some of these things go against your moral code won't offend you as much. You'll just know how to recognize these things when you see these things in people and individuals. When I came across this book, I was at the time somebody that didn't read much. I mean, I only read the Bible, but I really wasn't an individual that read. And this girl presented this book to me, and she showed it to me. And I started going through all the laws. Now, even in this review, I'm not going to go through all of the laws, but I'm going to go through some of the laws that caught my attention. And, you have the first law, which is, never outshine the master. And never put too much trust in friends, which is the second law. Learn how to use enemies. The third law caught my attention. It was conceal your intentions. Not always, revealing your hand as to, what it is that you plan on doing. And I started to read through the contents after this girl gave me this book, like the table of contents and the brief explanation of what these laws meant. And immediately I felt like I gained so much knowledge just from the contents. So I said to myself, I really got to get this book. So when the girl came back, I pretended I was more interested in her than I was interested in the book. But truth of the matter is I was equally interested in both of them. But what I did was I worked at my new job, and then I went to the bookstore afterwards until I got paid to be able to purchase the book. And I would just read the book after work every day until the store, Barnes and Noble's, closed. That's the first time I really went outside the Bible to actually read certain things. Like I say, a lot of these laws, they gain my attention. And you can look at how things played out in the past, and I can say to myself, this event happened, this person did this person did that. And then you start to see these things happen in life. And you start to realize that human nature is something that is really interesting, because there's certain things that people just do naturally. Certain things just don't change. Certain things are timeless, just like this book. I think this book should be read in all high schools so people can have a full understanding of it. And, they can be aware of the things that are going on around them, not be oblivious to certain things. I don't believe that this is something that can be used just in politics. I don't believe that this is something that can just be used in the office, but I believe that this is something that can be used in all aspects of life. It would be interesting when I would see certain things happen. Certain people do certain things in certain fashions. And I would say, wow, this person is really, concealing their intentions. I remember, the 2016 election, and I thought it was real interesting how, what a lot of people didn't realize, how Trump was going to actually win that election. Now, I didn't vote. Oh no, I didn't vote for, who did I vote for? I don't think I voted for Trump in that election. But I looked at that election going down, and I said to myself, Trump's going to win this election. And I just knew it hands down. And he was using one of the 48 laws, whether it was consciously or subconsciously, that I seen used masterfully, and that was court attentions at all costs, the sixth law. When I seen this, I was like, yeah, he's won this election. I mean, he was being talked about in every medium. He was being talked about on the political front, on the news front, on the comedic front, and everybody had something to say about him, good, bad, or indifferent. It didn't matter. It wasn't enough talk about Hillary. In fact, the only way that Kamala can probably win this is just to have more talk about her. I don't see her winning this political fight, even though she has a large group behind her. I still don't believe her for her winning this bout. Like I said, a lot of these laws could go against your moral standard, your moral code. But if I can recognize and thwart someone from using these laws against me, then I can, be able to maneuver in life a lot better. There's certain things that I learned when it comes to politics, even in the office realm. Like law number 18, isolation is dangerous. People can say things about you that are not true, but when you kind of isolate yourself from those rumors that are being said, it can cause those rumors to magnify. It can cause those things that are being said about you to magnify. You have to get back out there. You have to keep your ear to the ground. You have to find out everything that's going on around you. Another law that I like is disdain the things that you cannot have. A lot of times, a lot of women that I've dealt with have been in the office that I worked in. And if there was some woman that I was interested in, but she brought attention to, another person, then I just turned away from it. Had a sort of disdain for it. No desire for her any longer, because I don't do the competition thing. So it's like, oh, okay, this is how your attitude is. Then I'll find better, and I would just move on, and I would actually turn away from it. I would actually disdain it, disdain her. I feel like when you really want something in life, and you could try for it too hard, and you're trying to get it and put all your efforts behind it, and you showing how much that you desire it and want it and love it, but you cannot actually get it, then it causes it to go away from you, kind of like the law of attraction. But when these things are just like whatever, like you don't care, you can have it or not have it, and you'll still be able to survive. Be willing and be able to walk away from a business deal or walk away from a situation relatively quickly, then that is another strong sense of power that you will gain. One thing I thought is interesting, and I think I kind of related to this year's election and how I feel, is the 20th law: do not commit to anyone. Me personally, I'm not voting for Kamala. I'm not voting for Trump, and I am voting for none of the above in OTA. And I feel like that because I feel like it doesn't do anything, regardless of who I vote for. And when God is your master, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who the president is. You know, Donald Trump is not a determining factor as to the things that go on in my life. And if you believe so, then you really do not put God first. People put a lot of fear. Do this for play, just to see how everything works out, just to see how everything is, right? It's pretty funny. So if you have a group of people having a political discussion, like what will be good to do is when they say they're voting for this person or they're voting for that person, say something along the lines of, "Oh, I'm not going to vote for anyone," and watch the fear rise in individuals who want either Kamala or Trump to come into office, especially if it's a person of color. Like just watch how they react to that. It's a good way to actually use this law. Just like, hey, I'm not voting for anyone. I'm not voting this election. And then just see the reaction on people. You gotta vote. You have to. They're gonna kill us. This person's trying to create a dictatorship. All of these fear mongering. And God has not given us the spirit of fear. But when you understand the 48 laws, when you understand human nature, when you understand how people strategize, and when you understand how things take place in this book, well, yeah, you tend to not worry about that, and you tend to master fear, which kind of goes into the next book I'm going to go over. But I'm not going to get into that right now. There are certain ways that you can go over this book. Now, contrary to the other books that I talked about, I recommend reading this book physically, and there are many illustrative forms that you can find online. There's an individual on his webpage, I'm sorry, on his YouTube page, is Elixirtus, and he has an illustrated version of the 48 Laws of Power. I believe it's like 3 hours and some change. Very great to listen to. Very great to listen to, and very great to watch to get an illustrated form, if you can easily learn that way. If you listen to the book, I believe the book is like 10 and a half hours. I'm not sure. But if you read the book physically, it's something good to constantly go back to constantly review, to constantly know what you're using in your arsenal. Am I going to constantly be using all of the 48 laws? No. I think that that's foolish and an exercise in futility. No, I want to make sure that I am using the 48 laws to be able to recognize them, but I'm not going to be using each and every law. But I want to put this book to use, just like every book that you read should be put to use. If I'm not putting these books to use, then what's the point of reading them? No, this is a great book to read. This is a great book to understand and have a better understanding of life and not have such an emotional reaction to the things that are going around you. Read this book continuously throughout life. 6 months go by, go back and read it again. And then reiterate how things took place in your life and how you could have had a better response to certain things instead of being so reactive to certain things. Like, constantly review your life in the past. Because what I like about this book, it talks about how things actually happened, but it doesn't give, like how a lot of modern movies are, a past agenda to the things that are going on in today's world. Meaning, you look at a movie that took place in the 1800s and they're using modern day slang. Like, that's just utter ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. They didn't even think the way that we think nowadays. And, 100, 200 years from now, they're not going to think the way that we think. They'll look at many of the things that we do in this day and age and they'll think, man, these guys are idiots. They didn't know if they were a male or a female. How? I don't know. Let me know what you think about the book. Make sure that you read the book. And if you have any other questions, concerns, or funny stories, or anything you'd like to add, feel free to put it in the comments.